Oh. All right, here we go. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Whale On. In tonight's extravaganza, we have our showbiz spotlight with Baz Bamingboy, politics with our lovable Jerry Hayes, and the people's lawyer, Mr. Gary Jacobs. But our theme tonight is once again condoms. But now, let me introduce you to a very special guest. Roll titles. Thank you very much. I don't look like an Iranian, do I? I don't mind being an Iranian, but I quite like, you know, I think it's the new me. Now, welcome, Whale On tonight, an extravaganza. First of all, Joel Quinn, who wrote to me from Sydenham Park Road in London, has done this kind of fancy... This is... Can we get and have a good look at this? This is wonderful. He's taking a lot of trouble. He did the masks, and we'll have a chat with him later. You can see, this is me, obviously, the best-looking one. This is Baz, who looks as if he's been in the sun far too long. Gary, who looks, well... very strange. And Jerry Hayes, who looks like he's a bottle brush. But it goes inside here, and it's quite rude, actually. I can't read it to you, but it's quite rude. We should bring this out. And it goes all through the programme. We don't need to do the show tonight, really. You can just have a look at that. It's excellent. So give Joel a nice round of applause. He's standing over there. Let's see him, OK? Well done, Joel. That's good. Let's have a shot of Joel. OK. National Condom Week this week as well. National Condom Week, and, sorry, what was that?
You've got yours on.
Oh, yes, if you've got yours on, dear. National Condom Week, so we're going to celebrate that a little bit later on. Please welcome Cookie! Get up here! Model the map. Listen, it's becoming the Cookie, you know, I'll model the map and you point to where you want it to be. I thought it was somewhere, because I've had some lovely letters from people in the Midlands, in Central Television's area. You know, you don't know where the Midlands is, do you, really? OK, well, yes, I know. It's not good, really, but I would think Birmingham here, OK, and Leicester, and Nottingham, and Stoke-on-Trent, the Potteries, very nice in the Potteries there, all around this large area in the middle here. OK, the Central Television area, if you're watching in Central Television land over here, the programme tonight is dedicated to you. That's good, I like that, that's OK. Would you like to carry off the...
Yes, darling.
OK, that's wonderful. I thought we had such a manic programme. Did we have a manic programme last week that I was just going to take time to sort of swan around and be charming? And sort of, because a lot of you are probably lying on your beds or on the sofa and you may have had a little too much to drink, so I want to make it a nice, gentle show, especially for you tonight. And we've got some great music. Funkabubble are here as well. And we have Keith Helliwell, the Chief Constable of West Yorkshire. He's here too. Got a lot of people on the show tonight. But first, the competition. Do you remember this from last week? We're bored with football, aren't we? Are we bored with football? And the World Cup? Do you want to see me shoot a penalty? OK. Whoa! Oh, Baz, I'm so sorry. Are you all right? Oh, Baz, oh, I'm sorry. You're all right, Baz. I'm sorry,
but
Baz.
at least
Right,
Nigeria
Baz,
got there.
in the face. Nigeria did get there, you're right, OK. And I was going to talk about the leader of the Labour Party. I've decided not to for the moment. The competition. A couple of winners for you. Eric Harrigan from Rednall near Birmingham. Oh, there we are. That's good. He's off to Crete. Another Central Television viewer. And also Steve Hetherington from Broughton Astley in Leicestershire. We're really in the Midlands tonight, aren't we? He's off to Ibiza for a week as well. And if you'd like to go to Ibiza too, although not necessarily with Steve, not necessarily with Steve. Thank you, Michael. Are you with me tonight, Michael? Can we hear Michael? Because I've got him... Press... No, it's not supposed to have a collar. It's fashion. It's not supposed to have a collar. Could you press the button on the desk and everybody else can hear you? It's not working. Oh, I'm working this week. OK, fine. Right. Which fairy tale character let down her hair and used it or allowed it to be used as a ladder? Was it A, Snow White, B, Gretel, or C, Rapunzel? 0891 900 007 and the lines are open till midnight on Sunday. Have we had a good shot of the audience tonight? They're very nice, very brown, tanned people, and not nearly as disruptive as last week. Can we remove that before we go any further? That was rather good, wasn't it? I'm not talking to you at the moment. I'm going over here to talk about hair sculpture. Something. Do you think I'm growing mine just a little longer? Is it all right? Do you like it? Yep. I was going to actually ask you, funnily enough, about the leader of the Labour Party, but I'm not. No, don't. No. But I was going to say, what a shame, and I suppose you're killing yourselves laughing. The fact that let's look at what the Labour Party had to choose from. A young man, the media said, of course, is a terrific-looking person who probably would be just as at home in a school uniform.
James. You didn't stand yet.
A man who looked as if he'd been quite at home, standing on the door of a nightclub, throwing people out who weren't allowed to come in, and a woman. A lady who admitted in public that she enjoyed taking holidays in a caravan. I ask you.
Oh, all right.
You're probably okay. Right, okay, we'll see him later. Now, come over here. This is Toby. Where is Toby?
Joby.
You're what?
Joby.
Is that Joby?
Yeah, that's right.
Look like a T to me, but okay. Toby, how are you?
I'm okay.
Are you sure?
Yep, definitely.
You're sure? Okay, fine. This is good. Right, I'm going to have trouble here. Now, these guys wrote in and said they had a good idea. Who's this guy? Who's my man over here?
It's Anthony.
What's he doing? What are you doing here?
I'm actually...
Should you be talking about this?
Oh, yeah.
Would you like to talk about it?
Yes. Right.
Sod that. Would you like to talk about it? You're right? Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, this is hair sculpture, right?
Yeah.
Okay, this is hair sculpture, and tell me what it's all about.
Well, my side of it is essentially advertising.
Right.
I actually do advertising. Basically, companies advertise their businesses by having logos and their telephone numbers shaved into the back of the model's head.
Yeah.
Joby here is a barber for our company.
Hi, Joby. Yeah.
He just does actually the hair sculpture, but we also do bleaching and dyeing, etc., so that, you know, the particular logo stands out, and these guys go around town.
Could you do that to Jerry Hayes? Because he's got very tightly curled hair,
I actually suggested it outside, and yeah, we told him we'd pin him down.
Outside, but I said no to that as well.
You don't fancy that either? Okay, fine. So what you're going to do through the programme, I think there's something in your ear, but it's a little earring in there, isn't it? I can't understand people wanting to have their ears defaced like that. Really, it's a very strange thing to do. Anyway, so you're going to put Whale On's address in the back here for us.
No, we're actually going to put Whale On in the back of
Oh, you're going to put Whale On in the back of that?
and a little design around it.
Oh, you're not going to do the address?
No,
Too
too long.
Okay, fine. Because we're going to have you here every week then, just doing the address caption. Right. And we're going to come back later and find out how it's going, aren't we, really? Yeah. You do anything to get on television. Some people will do... I've seen some people bearing parts of their anatomy together. They paid you to come here. Oh, they haven't told you they're going to shave all your hair off. Okay. Well, thank you guys very much indeed. We'll come back and see you in a few minutes, all right? Give them a nice round of applause, because it's probably the only time that... That's with Anthony Martin and Jay Busy and Joby, and they're rocking and running. And Gaz is behind there doing the drawing. Very good it is. It looks a bit rude to me, actually. It will be rude, will it? Will there be lots of naughty bits in there? Okay.
I'm going to illustrate my penis extension.
Oh, good. Fine. Thank you very much indeed. Right, ladies and gentlemen, the man, of course, we all love to ridicule, but really he's a good friend of the programme. Please welcome the Right Honourable Mr. Jerry Hayes. Okay. It's switched on. Right, I noticed that the guy that we were talking to last week about the health service has not made it back to the programme this week, but he had such a good time last week. He did say we left you with a question. He will come back. He left you with the question, why is it that under the Tories there are so many fewer nurses, consultants and doctors generally working in the health service? It's not your fault. Why don't you get in there?
It's not true,
Why
actually.
don't you tell the young lady that she should be doing more?
There are far more doctors and nurses than ever before. And waiting lists have actually... Ever before when? Before 1979, bad, sweetie pie.
Well, there were a lot less everything
before. Yeah.
Look, talking to Baz is not going to get you off the hook.
No.
You know as
but
well as I do.
There are more... Hang on. Come on, I won't talk to you about showbiz. No, I won't. I won't talk to you about showbiz, Baz.
Well, politics is a bit like showbiz.
Please.
No, we won't fight. We did fall over.
Please, guys, please, could I just... Baz, thank you.
I just have to call a spade a spade.
Yeah, well, don't you start that either.
Yeah, you can, but I can't. No. Now, the fact of the matter is there are more
Yes.
doctors and nurses than 1979.
Don't
than
lower your
ever
tone
before.
to try and get serious with
That's
me,
when I
just a minute.
get. That's when
Yes,
I
I
get
know.
sincere. And I
Yes.
hadn't realised you were pierced.
Well,
Did you
never
know
mind.
he was
Anyway,
pierced?
Look,
Did you know he was pierced here? It's very nice. That's why
Jerry,
they call him a
Jerry,
stud. Yeah.
Jerry, a straight,
It's the only reason they call him
Jerry,
a stud. Yes,
a straight answer.
Okay, straight
or I'm going to
answer.
stay here to the end of the
Okay,
programme. I'll
okay.
stay here right to the end, and you'll be embarrassed.
I'm at your
And you
disposal.
remember the people in Harlow are watching.
I'm a servant of the public
Okay.
for £1,000. No, shouldn't say that, should we? No.
Answer the question.
Yes.
Why has the health service ground to a rather nasty, murky halt, and the best you could do was issue some sort of tables, as we talked about last week? There are less people in real terms working in the health service, and there are more managers. You know that.
But
why?
if I may say at 1 a.m. in the morning, how can it be incongruous-ish to say that there are less people working in the health service when I was criticised last week for more administrators? In fact, there are...
Carry on. No,
Well, it's
carry
true.
on.
No, but it doesn't make
carry
sense.
on.
The fact of the matter is,
Carry
there are
on.
more doctors and nurses. No, it's true. There are more. We keep on going on. And I know what you're going to bring up, but there are more doctors and nurses than ever before. More people are being treated than ever before. Of course there's going to be problems in the health service. It is not a
Why did listen?
bottomless pit.
Look. Because we're friends, I don't
Yes.
want to put you too much
No,
on,
all right.
on the spot.
Yes.
But why didn't you just say that technology in the health service is costing so much more now than it did a number of
But
years
that's
ago,
why we're
and
spending
it's going to
more
cost a
money.
lot more money?
Of course
But
it is.
On
But people's
top of that,
expectations are so much higher than they were
exactly.
before.
But on top of that, you are clouding the issue, and you know that the health service cannot be run as a business. It
It's
shouldn't
not
be run as a business.
It's not run. To quote Ken Clark, when he was Secretary of State for Health, he said, the health service should not be run as a business, but it should be more business-like.
Okay, but it is
In
now
other words,
the people
know
who
the
are
costs.
running it, maybe then we shouldn't blame the politicians, although I don't see any reason why not. Maybe we should be blaming the people that you've put into these
But I
positions.
don't blame
Maybe the
anyone.
managers in hospitals are not doing...
I don't blame anyone. We've got some
Jerry,
good
talk
news
to
in the
any
health
doctor,
service.
any nurse in the
Good
health
news
service.
in the
They are
health
all
service.
complaining
Good
about
news.
it.
Good news. There's far more people being
I'm
treated
sorry,
than
Jerry, but
any
let's face it, you
time
can't... No,
ever,
you
ever,
can't,
ever,
you
ever,
can't
ever,
answer it.
ever.
Just
It's
before...
true. I know you don't believe me, but it's true. It's true.
Are you upset? Are you upset that the fact that the majority of people in the country don't believe what the Tories are saying? Does that worry you? Why don't they
The
believe you?
majority of people, shut up, Baz. the majority of people in this country never believe the Tories on health, which is a great shame.
I've got this press cutting from a few weeks ago.
Yes.
And it says here, agency irritates MP. The Tory MP Jerry Hayes yesterday told radio listeners of his irritation at mistakenly receiving a maintenance demand from the Child Support
was a
Agency.
bit tricky.
What does Alison, your wife, think about this?
Well, she got
Don't-
this letter and she
Yes.
immediately thought it was from France, but it wasn't. It was a joke. Sorry, right.
Never mind.
Yeah, no, but it was because we are.
Are you going to
happily married.
scrap this agency?
We are not going to scrap it. What
But
I
you're
hope,
gonna get
what I
rid of the
hope-
people
what I
who are
hope-
running
What
it.
I hope we'll do is,
Quickly.
one, we'll make it a family what am I talking about? A father collection agency. We'll
Yes.
find the fathers, and then we'll hand over the question of making
We'll talk
the
more
money
about that
to
next
the
week.
courts. Next
More
week, we're
about that
discussing
next week. Okay,
how we're
fine.
gonna
Thank you
change
very much.
the
Ladies and
CS.
gentlemen, Jerry Hayes! The one thing, I always say this because I get upset. Just a minute. I always get upset because Jerry is one of the very few MPs who's prepared to come here and sit on television without knowing what questions we're going to ask him, have a laugh with us, and show that he is human. And I think the people who have him as a representative should use him, get in touch with him, use him, and tell us if he's no good. But use him. Please welcome music on the show now. You're going to enjoy this at home. We've had them before. They're back. They still don't have a record deal, which is a terrific shame. Please, would you welcome an amazing sound? Ladies and gentlemen, this will knock your socks off. Please welcome Funka Bubble!
The sound of the red light. Where you go? Where she might go. Where she might go. The sound of the red light. Yeah, yeah, yeah. blow some my some more but to Chimago. I got a fear running through my brain. I don't know if I should stand. Some blow some my some more but to Chimago. To a Chimago, I got a fever. It's running fever. I'm running to my brain. I think about it super sweet. From the little sea, think about super sweet. From the little sea, fever. I don't believe I can't think about it twice. With the mind, think about it twice. With the bounce, fever. Break it down. Run 100 miles and tell your mama your sister and your papa too. Cause we're about to go down and you know just what to do. Say your prayers if you dare, but we don't care. How to the people as they bounce up in the air. Do your dance in a trance with mama. Come on baby, I'll see you like what you heard. I got fever, fever running through my brain. I'm a believer, I can't think about it twice. It's the vice, think about it twice. It's the vice, fever. Fever running through my brain. Fever. Here we go, here we go.
Thank you. Yeah, Funkabubble and Fever. Wasn't that good? That was terrific. I enjoyed that. I was just sort of doing my... Baz was really impressed with... Look at the footwork. Get the footwork down. Get the footwork. Get the footwork. Can you see the footwork? You can't see the footwork. Here, we get the footwork here. Okay, well... Okay, right, okay, fine. Yeah. Now, before we take the break, the competition, how would you like... Which fairy tale character let down her hair to be used as a ladder? Was it Snow White, Gretel, or Rapunzel? Ring that number 0891 900 007. Come back after the break. Well, that was exciting. I nearly couldn't get my words out, I must admit. That was very exciting and very good, Keith. Very good. I mean, you are an artiste amongst cameramen. He is an artiste amongst cameramen. That little twiddle, very nice indeed. Now, our series on dumping drugs continues, and this week we're looking at it from the police's point of view. Would you please welcome the Chief Constable of West Yorkshire, Mr. Keith Halliwell. Now, you'll notice, you see, Keith, the audience are warm. The studio's flipping warm as well. Keith, you've been in the press. I was just going to read one bit to you, and then you can come back and say it's, you know, they always get it the wrong way and everything else. But I think we should actually just go through this. The Home Secretary, and this is from a paper a while ago, yesterday attacked calls by senior police chiefs for the decriminalisation of drugs and ruled out any liberalisation of existing laws. And it went on to sort of mention your name within the same article. But actually, that was misrepresentation of what you said on Panorama, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of Panorama, I just felt that the issues of drugs are such a wide issue and such a broad issue that the ways we're trying to tackle and solve drugs in themselves, each can be shown to be working. But when you actually bring them all together, there are still drugs on the streets. More and more of our young people are still getting involved in drugs. There's more crime involving drugs, and more children are dying through drugs. and therefore we've got to take a new approach.
Nothing is working at the moment, and to even be even worse, I mean, we're having shootouts in Manchester, violence is on the increase, and even the stiffer penalties that are coming in don't seem to be working at all, do they?
Well, when you say nothing is working, I mean, we do stop more drugs coming into the country. We do arrest more people. But in fact, in the overall battle against drugs, then the drugs are still there on our streets. So it's unfair to say that things aren't working. They're not solving the problem, which is different.
But the problem is then, not so much, obviously the problem is drug dealers and the drugs coming in and continuing to come in, but the problem is trying to turn people away from them and say, look, you know, okay, perhaps we're hitting on the wrong people, we're hitting on the users and worrying more about people who are possessing a little bit of cannabis in their pockets or whatever else, and not worrying enough about the people who are bringing in the very dangerous drugs and the people who are intent on selling drugs and then getting people hooked on harder drugs and more expensive drugs.
I think that's a misconception. I mean, we do focus our attentions on people who are trafficking drugs all the way across the world, across Europe, and we stop them coming in. Our crime squads actually are focusing on the drug dealers, the people who are actually peddling the drugs. Since over the last 10 years, we've actually started to caution people who are in possession of cannabis for their own use on the first occasion. 50% of people caught in such circumstances now are cautioned by the police. And you asked earlier about decriminalisation. I mean, that's what we're talking about in decriminalisation. It isn't turning a blind eye to it. What it is doing is dealing with it other than by taking those people before court.
Keith, when you first mentioned decriminalisation, did you think, before you mentioned it, that it would cause the unease that it seemed to cause, not only in government circles, but also amongst some of your own contemporaries?
I think the answer to that question must be yes. I mean, if we're complacent and sit back and say it's all working, we'll go on business as usual, I think in 10 years' time, you'll be having someone like me on the show and say the thing has got all out of proportion and we're in real deep trouble. So I think something needed to be said to actually maybe put the thing on a bigger agenda for people to say, is it really that bad? To actually look at what's happening, recognise it, and that it's in their own backyard. And it isn't something, drugs, that you can say, it doesn't affect me, it doesn't affect my estate, it doesn't affect my children, because it does. It affects everybody, wherever they live, whatever part of this country they're in, there is somebody within their neighbourhood, maybe their children, who are involved in some way.
Do you think that the Home Secretary should perhaps have thought more, spoken to you perhaps about what you actually meant before he made that rather sweeping statement some people thought about? He was not going to have it changed and it was going to go on and they were going to get tougher and tougher and tougher.
Yeah. I mean, I've never called for legalisation of drugs. I would have a problem with that. The places where it's been tried, it's been an unmitigated disaster. The turning a blind eye to drugs, such as occurs in Holland, is a mess. The needle parks in Switzerland, they've had to abandon because it was dreadful, and things got more and more lawless and more people got involved in drugs. So therefore, I'm not for legalisation. However, I don't believe, I mean, any government in the world is going to take a soft line on drugs, so I understand that.
Sure.
I think where we part company, and we did discuss this in a news interview, is that I don't think we should rule out looking at other solutions that perhaps are going to resolve the problem. I'm not saying we should adopt them, but we shouldn't close our minds to them. And if you see what's happening with this government, I've just been across to the States, and they regard our government as actually very liberal in their drugs laws, because we fostered needle exchanges for many years, one of the first countries in Europe to do it. We actually licensed and registered doctors to prescribe drugs on the National Health Service. In America, in some states, they throw up their hands in horror. So to say we're a sort of hard line, I don't believe we are hard line in terms of dealing with the dealers, but looking across the board at the overall picture, we're actually doing something wider than law enforcement.
I understand exactly. I'm profusely sweating. It's very warm in here today, but I'm just wondering whether some of your contemporaries are actually more out of touch with drug culture, young people, the way young people live today, than you obviously are, and that maybe some chief police officers ought to be actually trying to find out for themselves a little more of the problems people have, rather than saying, well, it wasn't like this in my day, we're going to, you know, for goodness sake, you're...
I don't think that's a fair criticism of my colleagues. Perhaps because I spoke up. I spoke up because I've been given a responsibility by my colleagues to actually look at the issue of drugs. and develop a strategy of drugs and actually speak on drugs. So the fact that they don't speak doesn't mean that they don't care about it and doesn't mean that they don't understand it. Because I think if you had any one of them on this program, any one of my colleagues, they would very probably be saying the same things as I am. They may say them in a different way, but they see the problem, they recognize the problem. We're each trying our solutions, and what I'm doing is bringing those solutions together to see how they work.
When you talk about the difference between legalization and decriminalization, this is where people perhaps get it stuck. Just explain for me briefly exactly what the difference as you see it is.
Well, legalization would mean that there would be the laws that prohibit the use of drugs will be repealed. And so you could use drugs in the way that you use sweets from the shop.
Or alcohol. Within a
or alcohol. Controlled and regulated, probably, yes. That is legalization.
Before you talk about decriminalization, let me just take that point just a little further. If you were to do that, some people may say, well, that would take it out of the criminal spectrum. Then people may not get hooked into this sort of vice underworld where they're committing crimes to get the money for their drugs, that people, very dubious people, are actually keeping people under their thumb, keeping them hooked, making sure that they go out, there's prostitution and rackets and everything else. If you were to do that, would it actually move people away, and then the big drug dealers who had something illegal to peddle would no longer be able to do that?
I think it's a nice solution, but it's an Enid Blyton solution. It just won't work unless you legalized everything. And there are some such obnoxious substances that are so dangerous to people that nobody, I've heard, would actually call for legalizing everything. Then these people, and they are low-life, there's no question of that, and they're criminals, and they're vicious criminals, many of them, would find something else. And while something is illegal, they will peddle it. So unless you legalize everything, if you did legalize everything, and I've heard some American commentators say, legalize the lot. If you do, you're going to attract more people to drugs. And the idea that some people sort of, there are some people who just smoke cannabis, they've smoked it from university, they do it at home, and they'll say, we don't cause any harm, we're at risk of being criminalized. For every one of those, there are dozens who start on cannabis and move up. There are dozens of children who actually take a cocktail of drugs. And I've not yet met a heroin user that started right at the top. They all start at the bottom and develop.
So decriminalization then would be the people who maybe have used cannabis, something like that, in there for themselves, used it for a number of years, that, as you say, haven't really committed any harm to anybody else. Those are the people you'd like to perhaps withdraw from the criminal scene?
Well, it isn't a matter of that. I mean, the idea that we go around looking through windows and trying to target these people who smoke cannabis in their own home is absurd. I mean, we don't have the resources to do that. We don't deal with that. What we deal with are the people on the streets, largely children, who commit crime, who are in possession of drugs. Over the last 10 years, I think we've taken a different approach. Rather than saying every one of them will go before court, we look at ways in which we can advise them, guide them, refer them to places where they're going to get advice and guidance to try and affect their future behavior in relation to drugs. Less than taking them to court.
Right, short answer then to this, because we've run out of time, Keith. What you're trying to do is not to criminalise young people who get hooked into this. You're trying to show them the error of their ways and trying to help them move on to a better life.
And we're trying before that. I feel they should be better educated, have a better understanding of the problem, so that when they make a choice, they make a choice against drugs rather than make a choice for drugs.
Thank you very much indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, Chief Constable Keith Halliwell. OK. Shall we go over here? OK, let's have a little look at the hair sculpture over there. Looks rather good. Can we spin round and have a look? Maybe at the back of the hair would be better. Cameraman, Mark, maybe round the back of the head would be quite good. Can we get a look at the back? Can we turn the head round? There we are, that's good. There we are. We put a little light on that, we could probably see it. But it sort of says Whale On. It's not finished yet, is it?
Not quite yet.
We're going to be over there a little later and look at it. Thank you very much indeed for that. Whilst we're thinking about drugs, let me go over here. I'm not using that loosely. I'm just saying because Gary Jacobs always has something that he'd like to say. I think that the Chief Constable has given us something to think about, hasn't he?
I think he certainly has. And I remember reading what he had to say when he first said it. I think that he's in a very difficult position because he hasn't got an answer. What he's saying is he wants the problem looked at and tackled from different angles. And I'm afraid to say that the only way you can attack it, in my view, and it's always been the same, you've got to stop people from wanting to take them in the beginning. And that starts in the home, it starts at school, it starts at a very young age. In the case of, I've read recently about elderly people going in for cannabis because it helps with arthritis. My view is it should be made legal for them. It should be prescribed for them if it is a cure for an illness. I mean, it's ridiculous to say because...
That's another tack and maybe something we'll look at in the next week or so.
Yes.
OK. Let's get on to your letters.
Right. Well, we've got a wonderful letter here from somebody who's writing...
I don't want the Chief Constable to actually think we're helping people to get off here with because we have our legal eagle here helping people. Go on.
We've got somebody here who's writing a play, and he's asked for a bit of legal advice. To be perfectly honest, any author earns fortunes and should be able to pay a lawyer, but nevertheless, in his play, he's got a writer, and the writer dies, and the widow, searching through his pockets, finds a cheque for £1 million. And she wants to know if she can legally enforce payment for the cheque.
Yeah.
Well, the answer, in fact, is yes. Simple as that. If somebody dies and there's a cheque payable to them, it becomes part of their estate. Is that nice? You're looking very well, Jim.
Yeah, I was just... excuse me, I just wanted to have that over here. Right, fine.
Yeah,
Thank you very much indeed.
Yeah, I thought it looked like a pair of gonads.
No, no.
If you want my honest opinion.
We get a shot.
Do you want me to give the advice with that in front?
Yeah, go on. No, just
put it in front of me. It'd probably look better.
Do you think? No, it's
right.
similar. It's a very, very good likeness, isn't
Listen,
it?
listen.
Okay,
I've got a letter here. Has anyone else seen the Vogue that has been put in the papers lately of doctors saying, I don't want to treat you for various reasons? We've had somebody who actually says that their son wasn't treated by a doctor, simply refused to treat them, and sadly the person died, and they want to know if they can sue for negligence. Well, the answer is yes, if the doctor was in breach of a duty to take care.
Doctors do have the right to say who they want to treat and who they don't want to treat.
Doctors do have the right to say who they want to treat. I think that the important thing is if the relationship between a doctor and a patient is broken down, whether it's the doctor or the patient who ends it, somebody must, and the doctor has the right to. But if a doctor refuses to treat somebody instantly for some reason that is unreasonable, then you breach the duty of care, may well have a case for negligence, should see a solicitor and get it fully investigated.
One quickie?
A quickie? Well, we've got somebody who came all the way back from South Africa, watched the programme, and
went
says
back to South Africa again, I suppose.
Says awful things about... what happened was he got robbed as soon as he arrived back here. He knows who the robber was because they were caught, and what he says is, when they're found guilty and they come out, what if I do the same thing to them? Am I... I'm going to save that answer for another programme.
Are you going to save that answer for another programme?
I don't know if I'll even deal with that.
All right.
You can't go around thumping people and robbing people, even if they rob you first. Is that not right, Chief
Of course it is. Of course it is.
You'd arrest them, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Indeed, I would.
South African or otherwise.
Quite right. You can't do that at all. Thank you very much indeed. If you have a legal problem, drop us a line to Whale On MMTV, 5 to 7 Carnaby Street, London, W1. Thank you, Mr. Gary Jacobs. Right, welcome back. Music again now from Funkabubble, and they're going to sing Control.
Get the gun, rap bass, good God, oh yeah. A song that chose what I choose. Innocence what I want from you. A smile so sweet to make a feeling so. And to love and I to go with a connector. Then I'm on to go, yeah. The thought is going through my mind. I can't find the right words. I'm losing control, good God. I'm losing it. I'm sick of telling mama. God. Control. Bring it down. Here we go. So the choice what I choose. It's one who I'm from you. Smile to make a feeling show. That's a lot enough to go. We're a connector, I'm a protector. The numbers to flow, yeah. A thought is going through my mind. I can't find the right words. Where is my soul? Where lose control? Yeah. A thought is going through my mind. I can't find the right words. Where is my soul? I'm losing control. 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 I bet I found. Oh baby, 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 so control what I do. This is what I want from you. I want from you. Bring it down. This what I want from you, yeah. Well, I'm losing it. I'm losing it. I'm losing it. I'm losing it. Oh, baby, baby, baby. Took the car, took it one more time, baby. Kick it one time, kick it one more time, baby. Oh, yeah. Don't get you with what I choose. You know, this is what I want from you. I want from you. Yeah. And it's yours.
Funkabubble and Control. Great, guys. Terrific. The point I was actually going to make was that this is all shot on 3 cameras, for anybody's interested in that. Normally on music shows, you've got 5 or 6 cameras whizzing around everything else. So I think, you know, we should give them a nice round of applause. I mean, even old Fatso over here, the man who delivers his own children, get your hand off the camera, you see? I mean, he's running around sweating now. Look at this as much as me. I mean, it is warm. It is warm. So give them a nice round of applause. Into the break. Join us in part 3. It's National Condom Week. Everything you wanted to know about the use of a condom. And you're allergic to them, aren't you, dear?
I am.
But you can get those now that are allergy-free, aren't they? That's right. What are you just hanging around here? I mean, you get me a bad... OK, right. Which fairy tale character let down her hair to be used as a ladder? Was it...
Snow White.
Or was it...
Gretel.
Or was it...
Rapunzel.
You can ring 0891 900 007 until midnight on Sunday. It's great. You could play your cards right. There's no doubt about that. You really could. I mean, I don't know why we haven't. Welcome back, gang. As always on this show, you know, I keep we're right out of time nearly. We've got one part to do and we've got to get right on with it. So Elizabeth Charbonnet, who's coming on to appear, well, is not going to be able to do her spot on the show tonight. She's going to come back next week and do it, all right? OK? And we maybe reminisce with her a little later. Now, please would you welcome Jean Smith. Jean is here from...
Durex.
You said that so beautifully. Can you do that again, just in the camera? No, you better not say it again. I mean, no. But, and not only that, she has come here because it is National Condom Week this week. And, of course, you know, we like to keep you up to date with everything you can do, all the new fads in condoms. Isn't that right?
Absolutely.
And there are, aren't there?
Yes, there's a lot.
People are buying loads of them.
Yes, there's coloured ones, ribbed ones, pina colada even, if you actually fancy sort of
really?
flavour condom. Oh, yes.
Yeah. Don't you get bored with doing it, though? I mean, I know that ever since AIDS and all the other sexually transmitted diseases, they found the sheath has been great to protect you from all sorts of things. And they've been selling so well when people thought they would be... I mean, don't you get bored?
No, because it's not that sort of job. It's such a mixture between, I mean, sex is fun. Everyone has sex, and therefore it's lots of fun. But also, there's a social responsibility, because when we say have sex, we're saying safer sex. Make sure you actually use condoms and protect yourself against sort of sexually transmitted diseases.
And you put off your holiday to come and do this, didn't you? You were going to go to Iceland.
I could have been in Iceland, but I'd rather be here in the heat of the studio than be Iceland.
Iceland's a nice place. Have you been before?
No, I'm going to go in August.
It's a really nice place.
I've heard it's lovely.
Now, I thought what we do, because that's right, we've got all these different sorts, and we'll throw them out into the audience with gay abandon at the end of the show and give them to them. But I thought it would be nice to talk about all the sorts of things that condoms are useful for.
Right.
Because did you know that the SAS always include a condom in their survival kit?
That's right. And in fact, a number of Durex Gold condoms went out into the Gulf War to actually sort of go across the barrels of the guns and actually protect the sand from going into the guns.
I didn't know that.
Amazing uses, yes.
And
indeed.
if you keep them with you and you blow them up if you're in a problem with a plane crash or a boat crash or something, you can use them as water wings and they can... No, this is absolutely true, isn't it?
I haven't tried that one, but I'm
And,
sure
and they're
somebody's
good
tried.
in the desert, and they're good...
Excuse me, but
Yes?
you can make lollies out of them, actually.
You can make lollies out of them as well. Oh, this is a great thing you can try at home in National Condom Week. Oh! You've got to, could we do that? Isn't that a clever idea? Do you like that? Okay, hold this, and because you've got the non-aller... Ah, look at that. Is that okay? We do. It's a beauty, isn't it? Yes. What we basically need here is a tissue, because when they get like that, you need a tissue. So we've got a tissue here. Okay, we've got. Am I doing it properly, Jim?
Yes, you are. You
Okay.
Are, yeah.
What's it like? Taste it? Is it? Okay. Yes. Yeah. What a shame. Yeah. Oh, that's, yeah.
Oh,
Well, sorry, Jean. Anyway. Give it to Joe.
it's from Iceland, you know.
It's a nice lolly from Iceland. Very nice dish. But there's so many things, and you can do that. It's great if you're having a barbecue or something, and really, you know.
Add life to the party.
Yeah, and you can
Bring
put them
it-
in drinks
yes,
and things like that.
Part
Yeah.
of everyday conversation.
Yeah. Has the price come down or not?
No,
I don't think it has it,
no,
really?
the price hasn't come down.
I thought because we were selling so many that we could actually get the price down a little lower.
No, but
that
we're
was
actually,
tasty.
I mean, we do a very good quality condom. It's sort of tested beyond British standards, and that's what people want to make sure. They've got the reassurance of something that's going to perform and deliver, as they say.
Okay, so not only can you use it for having great sex, lots of fun, but if you happen to be in the desert and you've got a gun, don't forget you can put it over the barrel of the gun to stop the sand getting in. Okay?
Yes.
You can carry, if you're in the desert as well, you can carry water in them, because they carry a lot of water.
Yes, they do indeed. 9 gallons of water it is.
9 gallons of water in one condom.
Yes.
You've just seen that you can make lice lollies out of them, but I suggest you use new ones for those not used ones. You can also use them for water wings, and maybe at home in National Condom Week you have some ideas that condoms could be used for, other than what they're designed for.
Yes, like to hear.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously what we want to do is make sure that people actually use them for safer sex, because that's to make sure.
Exactly.
If you're going to have sex, make sure you have safer sex.
And they're fun. So,
They
and they're
are
friendly.
indeed.
They're user-friendly as well.
Very
Okay.
much. It's very easy to put on, no problem.
I'm sorry, Gina. It's Baz, what? We're trying to... Can we switch around to Baz, give a quick look? What?
Well, what about the stuff, the protective stuff inside the condom when you make this lolly? I mean...
Hang on. Please, a little ripple for Jean Smith from the London Rubber Company. Thank you, Jean. OK. Sorry, Baz.
Before I lick this lolly, I want to know what was inside the condom.
Well, no, it was a new one, so it's OK. I mean, the stuff, the coating is quite... Yeah, you know, I mean...
You can lick that stuff?
Yes. Oh, Baz, have you...
Yes, you can.
Yes, of course you can put it... Yeah, OK, Baz. You can, but...
But not too many.
Baz, listen, I don't want to say too much, Baz, but you do write for the Mail. I mean, it's quite a sophisticated newspaper.
But I don't write about condoms.
No, well, no, you probably will be. You'll probably
Is
be
this
endorsing
bubbled on
them.
you, by the way?
No,
Would you like
please. Baz, shall we get onto the hot gossip, Baz? The hot gossip in the showbiz
Yeah,
world?
that was a bit cold. Yes,
Yes.
indeed.
Do you wanna-
I just want to say, I
Yes.
like that chief superintendent or chief constable.
Chief Constable.
Because there was something personable about him, approachable, and, you know, it's better than being told you can't take drugs by some officious-looking officer.
Yeah.
No one takes any notice. I bet you more people will take notice of what he said here tonight than, you know...
He's televisual as well,
Yeah,
isn't he?
he's good. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's good. He got a
You were
message
all right with
across,
that.
didn't he? That was
Good,
okay.
good. Well,
anyway,
thank you,
just
Baz.
wanted to
Right.
say that.
Okay. So, what's happening in the wonderful world of showbiz? Were you invited recently, because I have to ask you this, to the Ivana Trump party or not?
Yes, I was, but I couldn't go.
Well, I wasn't
And I'm
invited,
glad,
and
I
I'm
gather.
really pissed off about that.
Really?
I
gather
Yeah.
you missed nothing at all,
Oh,
James. I
right,
gather,
really?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that
yeah.
blows her coming on this
Yeah,
show.
and remember that when you get invited to things, you don't really want to go.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
Do
the
people
key.
get upset when you go or not?
When I go,
When you go, do they say, "Oh, Baz is here tonight. Nobody talk. Keep
well, if
quiet."
it's useless and boring, they get very upset. Yeah, because, you know, if I've wasted an evening, I'm going to write about it and say what I think. So yeah, they would be glad I didn't go,
Yeah.
frankly. But I just want to say, I was talking a few weeks ago about a film called Speed.
Yeah.
Keanu Reeves, Sandra Bullock. It's made $130 million. I told you it'd be a big hit.
$130 million.
$130 million opens here in September. You've got to go and see it. It's the film. That, The Lion King, the Disney animated cartoon from
Elton John's
John
music
and
on that and Tim
Rice.
Rice. I mean, is Elton John's music on that, has it done him any favours or not? Some people have
Yeah,
said
it's
that.
the #1 album in the States. I mean, please, you can't buy that. #1 album. And it's taken, to date, nearly $200 million.
And Elton's donated all the royalties and the money from the music he's done, hasn't he?
Yeah, but I bet he's sick he did that. But anyway, no, because I mean, I don't think people expect it to make so much money. But it's a good film. That, Speed, very good movies.
Do you know what I saw the other night? I was
What?
dozing off, and the movie channel was on, and I opened my eyes up, and it was the story, the early history of the Beatles, and and I never really took much notice when that movie was out. But and I watched it, and it was really quite poignant. You know, it was the story all about the fifth Beatle who died tragically of a brain hemorrhage in Berlin.
Yeah, I had a big exclusive a few weeks ago. George Harrison had the remaining Beatles around his place in Henley, and they were putting some tracks down for a sort of a 9-10 hour sort of series they're doing next year on television, the history of the Beatles from the beginning to now. They're kind of touching. I like the Beatles.
Okay, come over here with me, Baz. Let's go and have a look at the hair. Do you want to come over here?
Oh, yeah,
Are you wired
yeah.
up to that or not?
I'm
Because I
wired
thought we thought we should. You're right there, Gene, aren't you, for a few minutes? Okay, you met. Have you?
Yes. He's talks about his babies all the time.
Okay. Now over here, we didn't get to. Your kids want to have this done, don't they?
Well, I have a 6-year-old son, Nicholas, and he kind of liked that style, but I think, frankly, he's too young.
Not at school. If youngster's 6, you wouldn't sort of. No, it's an adult haircut, really, isn't it?
But some young kids do have that.
Can we just move your arm around and stand back over there? Go over there and let's have a... Can we get a good shot of that? Really is. Isn't that lovely?
That's good.
Look on the monitor. Can you swing the monitors round so the audience can see them? OK, that's fine. Everybody at home can see. You just have a little twiddle of the head here. I mean, that's really excellent.
That's pretty neat, isn't it?
That's very, very good. Will you give him a nice round of applause? 'Cause, you know... He's actually got to put up with the abuse now of walking around and people saying, you were on that show?
I want Big Baz on mine.
You want Big Baz?
Yeah.
Could you do Big Baz?
Yeah, we can deal with that differently.
Because the lead singer of Funker Bubble wants to have it done as well, doesn't he?
Yeah.
You wouldn't do that.
I'll call my wife first.
You'll call your wife first of all?
Well, you know, I have to check this.
Now, listen, this is your business, isn't it?
My business is essentially the advertising side of it. Basically, companies come to us and they want us to promote their business, so we shave their logos and telephone numbers in the back of these guys' heads.
So do some businesses, do you think they insist that the secretaries or the people who work for them have the company logo shaved on the back of their head?
No, basically it's the particular guys. It's we've got models working in our company, and basically they go out and promote the company with styles like this in their hair, with the telephone numbers, etc.
And so if anybody wants to know, they get in touch with us and we'll let you know how you can have advertising space on the back of somebody's bonds.
Hey, why not?
Hey? Give them a nice round of applause. That's great. Thanks very much indeed. Just before we go, over here, may I go over here? Because here, you know, we were hoping to bring you Elizabeth, and she's been... Listen, Elizabeth, come here, Elizabeth. That's the address over here. This is Elizabeth Charbonnet, ladies and gentlemen, and she's very sweet and she's very nervous. And she's been rehearsing and practicing, haven't you? All day. And she's a method actress, and she's been here since about 4 o'clock this afternoon thinking herself into a little girl. More or less a little girl.
Yeah.
And all for nothing. And now here, right in the early hours of the morning, we've run out of time. But you come back next week?
For sure.
You do it, will you, for us next week? OK, that's great, and you mustn't miss it. Thanks very much indeed for watching. Thank you to all my guests, wherever you are, and to the very warm audience, because, you know, this time of year it gets very warm. We'll be back, same channel, round about the same time, next week. So until then, have a wonderful weekend, and remember, if you want to surprise your guests this weekend, stick a couple of condom lollies into your deep freeze. A very nice weekend. Bye-bye! Bye! Shall we go?